Well, it's Friday, and you may all know what that means. As you probably can guess, it's going to be a fun, of course, episode. Because today we're going to be reviewing Stardom in Osaka. This is their much recent event. Now, don't forget, many of their matches are prelims, but there are two matches involved for the International Women's Cup that will be involved at Wrestle Dynasty. So we will see who will be our winners for that particular day. And then, of course, we move on with Ring of Honor with Final Battle, the last pay per view of 2024. We do have championship matches on the line as well, and special matches as well. So it's going to be very interesting how things will progress. And then we're going to see what happens on AEW Rampage. We do have some matches, but one match in particular is the Gold League of the Continental Classic between Brody King and Commander. So the real question is, can Commander get his first 3 points, or will Brody King, of course, reign supreme? And then we find out who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. And then we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. Let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been need to say. It's time to warp speed ahead. So, let's begin with our very first review, and this one's from Stardom. Alrighty then, so let's begin with Stardom. This is their most recent show, and they were in Osaka. Now, remember, there are some preliminary matches that would lead before we get to Dream Queendom, and then now we do have two different matches that I think we will talk about in a bit. But right now, let's get started with our first one. Our first one, we have the rookie Matoi Hanmabe. She takes on Maika. Now, of course, many of you would think, okay, Maika has what it takes, but I have to say, Matoi really impressed me just a little bit, knowing that she has grown significantly. But however, Maika actually put her away, and then 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, Maika actually walked away with her. But there was a moment in the post-match comments where, of course, as you probably remember, I mentioned last time, Matoi's actually goal is to join God's Eye. But however, Micah feels that they have too many people, but she's trying to, of course, avert the decision for her to join EXV. Basically, she's asking her to practice with her. I'm sure Matoya would enjoy the practice, but however, I think her heart is still set upon joining God's Eye. So we'll see how that will progress from there. Now, our next match, we have the members of EXV, consistent of Rian and Waka Tsukiyama, taking on God's Eye's Tomoka Inaba and Lady C. So nothing too significant on this match, but however, you all know the history between Waka and Lady C. When Waka first arrived to Stardom, they both Lady C became good friends, and of course they went to their separate factions. Waka at the time went with the Cosmic Angels, and Lady C later found her place with Queen's Quest. But of course, over time, these two have faced off on few occasions. But recently, Lady C has been losing in matches, either in singles or in tag team towards Waka. But however, somehow she was able to pull out a rabbit out of her hat and pinned Waka. So this was a good one for her to win. Finally getting one up of her this time. But it was a good one, not a best one, but something that could put her at ease a little bit. So just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have the members of Hate, Raka, Konami, Sayaka Mitani, and Atsuko Tora taking on stars Momokogo, Koguma Azuki, and Mai Iwatani. Now, of course, when it comes to Hate, they like to do dirty tricks, find ways to ensure they can cheat, but nothing can stop stars no matter what, as long as the icon have something to say. And that's exactly what she did when she, of course, picked up the win onto Raka when she applied a moonsault. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios, it's over. Now, our next two matches are in fact part of the International Women's Cup qualifier for Wrestle Dynasty. Our first match is our matches are in fact four ways. Our first match, we have Momo Watanabe versus Yuna Mizumori versus Hanan versus Saki Kashima. So, of course, there will be some factors here. But the one thing you probably can notice is the feud now between Hanan and Momo Watanabe. Now, remember, Momo Watanabe and along with Tekla are the current Goddesses of Stardom tag team champions, while Hanan and our tag partner Saida are the challengers. Now, Hanan, on the other hand, had this match won, but the referee was pulled out by a masked assailant that later revealed to be Tekla once again with her shenanigans. She got suspended and fined by the president, Okada. But however, Tekla is the type of person who says, F you, I don't give a damn about your rules, that sort of thing, costing Hanan an opportunity of Wrestle Dynasty. But it was Momo Watanabe who picked up the win when she applied the Hito Denashe onto Yuna Mizumori, and just like that, it was over. However, now Hanan is very pissed off that this happened. Now she has to deal with Tekla before, of course, on December 29th. So we see it happen. Now, our next match involving the International Women's Cup qualifier, we have Fukigen Death versus Rana Yagami versus Sayaida versus Shuri. So, of course, you probably know the factor. There is a factor in this particular match. Yagami and Shuri, who are in fact part of God's Eye. It could lead into a teamwork. But of course, at some point, we were going to see those two were going to clash over each other, which of course it happened. It was Shuri who picked up a win when she pinned Yagami, and just like that, it was over. And of course, Shuri did put out a promo, grateful that she's going to be involved in the whole match. So we will see what happens down the line. But for right now, let's keep moving forward. Our main event, in fact, is a very interesting one. We have all members of Neo Genesis, consistent of our current future champion Miyu Amasaki, Azumi, Suzuki, Starlight Kid, and Mei Seta taking on the Cosmic Angels, Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, Sayuri Ano, Natsupoi, and Tam Nakuna. Now remember, four of these people are involved in this is a prelim for their respected matches. Kurara is the challenger for the future belt against Amasaki, while Starlight Kid is the challenger for the white belt. So this is a match where it tells us who will build up the momentum before their upcoming matches. We know the future title match will take place on the 24th of December, which ironically is my birthday. So, yeah. But however, of course, Natsupoi's and Starlight Kid's match will be on the 29th. So, this is a match where it becomes who gets the momentum. And I wasn't too sure and keen. Now, the last 3 times when the Cosmic Angels and Neo Genesis have, how do I say, collided, Starlight Kid has always had the upper hand against Natsupoi, but this time Natsupoi had the upper hand when she applied an armbar on Starlight Kid, and just like that, it was over. But of course, we did see the moments between Natsupoi and Starlight Kid, and then finally Sayaka Kurara on Masaki. So should they be worried? Well, we will see what happens when their respected matches will take place. So I have to say it was a pretty good match. So I say you guys should check it out. So right now, I think we are done with Stardom. Let's move on with, of course, Ring of Honor Final Battle. All right, Ring of Honor Final Battle at Hammerstein Ballroom, home of ECW. Now, of course, many of you know this is the final pay per view of Ring of Honor of 2024. So let's enjoy. Now, let's begin with the 0 hour matches. Our first match, we have Dark Order members John Silver and Alex Reynolds taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans James Drake and Zach Gibson. Now, remember, this whole thing happened when, of course, Silver stole like the property of the Grizzly Young Veterans and led to this match. Now, however, we have seen how the Grizzly Young Veterans operate. They normally will act like they're tough, but at need of desperation, they'll cheat their way through. But one of the best moments is of course, old school nostalgic when it comes to the Dark Order. Who could forget Brody Lee likes to toss papers in the face of Uno? Well, he did that. He brought 2 sets. One as a distraction for the Grizzly Young Vets, and of course, one to actually complete it, but it had no effect whatsoever. But it was a high low by the Grizzly Young Vets on Silver, but it was Gibson who, in fact, picked up the win by pinning Silver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, we have Harley Cameron taking on, of course, Hanako. So it's very interesting that Hanako is involved in this one. So you don't know what to expect on this one. Of course, they have like the same kind of, age of wrestling, were the amount of time. But however, Hanako, as you know, has grown significantly. Not only that, for her strength, she was able to pick up a win against Harley Cameron when she applied the JP coaster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done deal. Now, our next match, we have the infantry consistent of the Captain Sean Dean and Carly Bravo taking on the Undisputed Kingdom consistent of Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. So, as you know, the infantry and the Undisputed Kingdom, Bennett and Taven, they have clashed over time and time again. But since the infantry's attitude changed since aligning themselves with Shane Taylor Promotions had led to this. Now, of course, we did see the interference coming from Trish Adora and the Fat Lard to Shane Taylor to get involved. But however, it had no effect because, of course, Carly Bravo was taken out by the ring pros thanks to slamming his nuts onto the post. And, of course, they applied the Rockstar Supernova on the captain. And just like that, by Bennett, 1, 2, 3, adios, it's over. Now, our next match, we have the Gates of Agony, Teo Leona and Bishop Khan taking on Liege, consistent of Lee Johnson and EJ Nduka. Now, we have seen recently Lee Johnson have clashed with both these men individually while Nduka was in the sidelines watching. Now, of course, many people would presume somehow Liege would pick up a win, but unfortunately that did not happen. Lee Johnson ended up on 2 times of the Gates of Agony. The first time he was able to kick out, but the second time, unfortunately, that did not do any good for him. He got because Khan pinned him, and just like that, it was over. And then, of course, we did see the post match where they tried to do the Code of Honor, but this time we have change shifts. Of course, the Gates of Agony are now the baby faces, while Liege has turned heels. So we'll see how this feud between both teams will progress here and out. Now, let's jump into the main card. Our main card, we have none other than Atlantis Jr. versus Mansoor. So, of course, this was going to be an interesting match, but however, we do know the factor wherever Mansoor goes, that's where Mason Madden will be there. However, of course, he was going to interfere in every way possible. However, unexpectedly, we did not expect who was going to make his return. That's right. He's very nice and very evil. Danhausen showed up. He took care of business when he gave Mason a punch in the gonads, and then of course he was tossed around by then Atlantis tossed Mansoor up and landed on Madden. But of course, it was a frog splash that led to, of course, Atlantis Jr. to pick up the win on Mansoor. But however, like the old saying goes, a loser cannot stand a winner. So Mason attacked Atlantis, and then of course Danhausen applied the curse on Madden, and you know how that goes. It ended in a bad day for MXM Collection. So a lot of fun right there. Our next match, we have Dynamite Kid Tommy Billington versus the wrestler Katsuyori Shibata. I thought this match was pretty good. I mean, I thought because of the dynamic, Billington, the nephew of the original Dynamite Kid, hit where he learned from, and Katsuyori Shibata. But however, Shibata was able to pick up the win when he put him in a sleeper hold, and just like that, it was over. So I don't know what to expect. Now, our next match, we have QT Marshall. Now, idiot QT Marshall dressed up like NWO Macho Man. But however, Jay Lethal brought back his old persona. Ooh, yeah! That's right. Black Machismo, while Karen Jarrett portrays Sensational Sherry. All of that, I thought it was a lot of fun. But of course, effing Solo had to get involved in this. And of course, we did see a member moment where Black Machismo has the other girl who's like the fake Elizabeth on his shoulders doing portrayed, and Karen did not like that. So I thought it was a lot of hilarious. But however, of course, Karen actually gets involved with Solo. But when it comes to Solo trying to mess with Karen, well, her hubby, not too far, the last outlaw, took matters in own hands and whacked Solo with the guitar. But of course, QT thought he had this one when he tried to apply the lethal injection, but no one does it better than Jay Lethal himself. So it was over just like that. So it took only 2 lethal injections by Jay to take out QT, and just like that, uno, dos, tres, over, just like that. Now, our next match, we have the ROH Women's World Television title. Layla Hirsch making her title opportunity against Red Velvet. Now, we have seen Layla Hirsch, how she's evolved for a long time. Red Velvet has been a strong champion, but however, many people might have assumed this would be the last of her ropes. But however, Red Velvet decided to use a weapon, but it was a distraction for the ref. She used a wrench instead to take out Layla Hirsch, and just like that, retain the belt. So, really crime shame right there. Now, our next match, this is for the ROH Pure Wrestling title. Lee Moriarty issued a challenge, but no one knew who was going to step up. Surprisingly, no one knows anything about pure wrestling than someone from ROH in the past. We're talking about Nigel McGuinness. Now, of course, Shane Taylor with his attitude, calling him old, and then Shane Taylor was, of course, Nigel McGuinness shot back twice. But of course, however, Lee Moriarty, who was influenced by Nigel McGuinness, he told Taylor that he needs this one. He cannot lose this opportunity. So, of course, but this time, what I liked about this match, there was no cheating involved. It was more like, okay, you know you're dealing with it. But however, when it comes to Nigel McGuinness, he knows every trick in the book. But however, that was not effective. Now, of course, you know the rules. You have 3 rope breaks. You can guess that maybe one or both of these guys might have exceeded them. Well, they both actually did exceeded their rope breaks. But however, Moriarty applied the Border City stretch on him and used the rope as leverage. As remember, No rope breaks were required on this when they exceeded them. So he used that as a leverage to of course build up more momentum for the Border Series stretch on Nigel, and just like that, Nigel tapped out. So I mean, it was a very impressive match, but I'm sure we all enjoyed it so much. Now, our next match is the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles in a double Texas Bull Rope match. The Righteous, Dutch and Vincent versus the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, of course. Now, remember, the Righteous had a state claim that they deserve the Ring of Honor tag team belts, but for weeks now, they've been playing mind games, saying all this stuff about Sammy's family, and then Dutch attacked Dustin Rhodes, saying that he considered himself a son of Dusty. So basically, that's been going. Of course, we're going to see all kinds of mayhem with a lot of plunder involved. But however, of course, Dustin Rhodes used the cowbell on Vincent, and just like that, they retained the belt. However, later on, we did see, apparently, the House of Morons, the House of Torture, issued a challenge to the Sons of Texas to put the ROH tag team titles on, of course, at the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Dynasty. Now, of course, we know these dickheads are intending to cheat. But the real question you ask yourselves by watching this, what does the Sons of Texas have to say? Well, they reflected on themselves. You know, Sammy, of course, grew up, who was one of the original wrestlers that started out in AEW with the Panda and Dustin Rhodes. But of course, they did not overlook the fact that the House of Losers actually called them out. So they say, you want them? You got it. So they accept the challenge. So we will see what happens until then. But if I was the Sons of Texas, keep an eye on these morons, because they will do whatever it takes to take what they feel is rightfully theirs, because they're losers. That's why. Now, our next match, this is a Ring of Honor World Television title, Survival of the Fittest. Now, this is more of a six scramble match, but you're eliminated out in this match. So we have Commander versus Willie Mack versus Mark Davis versus Christian Blake versus AR Fox and the champion Brian Cage. Now, let me pull up my phone real quick, because it does have exactly who was eliminated in this. Here you go. Okay. In this particular match, we did see Brian Cage eliminates Willie Mack and AR Fox. But the biggest surprise is the fact Mark Davis was the one who eliminated Brian Cage. This was the turning point where it was now guaranteed that a brand new champion will be crowned. But however, Blake Christian, being the smug, cocky SOB that he is, eliminates Davis. So this leads him and Commander. Now, of course, these two are fantastic high flyers. But however, Commander was the one who prevailed when he applied the shooting star press, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have the ROH World Championship. Matt Cardona, the native of New York, taking on Chris Jericho, the so-called king. Well, of course, we were going to see the idiot Brian Keith get involved in some capacity. That's exactly what he was going to do, you know. However, what no one expected, Big Bill, who in reality, as probably you know, got recently engaged, I'm guessing he was spending his honeymoon, just came back. But however, that wasn't enough to put down Matt Cardona until Brian Keith grabbed the championship belt, whacked Cardona, and just like that, Chris Jericho pinned Cardona to retain the belt. However, in post-match, the big dumb idiot and of course the loudmouth so-called bounty hunter were attempting to finish off Cardona. Unexpectedly, Cardona had help from a former ROH World Champion, and we're talking about the Bandit himself, Bandito. He is back, so he took care of business. So the real question we ask ourselves, where do we go from here? So I'm assuming we will see Bandito soon enough. But for right now, we'll see where that goes. Now, our main event, we have been expecting this. This is a rematch from many months ago. We have the ROH Women's World Title, Billy Starks taking on Athena. I have to say, this is one of those matches, and I think many fans might have thought in their minds this would be it. This is the end of Athena, and Billy Starks will shine. But however, there was a moment when the ref actually was out. So of course Athena was going to try to find a way to cheat, but it didn't do any good for her. But however, of course Athena was able to walk away with the win when she applied the clips, and just like that, it was completely over. This really crushed Athena. I think many people felt that this should have been it, but we'll see what happens. But we do know Athena will be involved in Wrestle Dynasty, so we will see what happens down the road. So I think we are practically done with Ring of Honor. So let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. It started out when we saw a promo with the Don Callis family. As you know, Don Callis, the dumbest snake on the planet, the side who likes to gloat a lot. But the one thing he is proud of is a few things when it comes to Kyle Fletcher. As you know, Kyle Fletcher defeated Okada and a few other matches, big matches that he had. But the one thing he cannot stand is the fact that he lost to Mark Briscoe. He thinks that was, how to say, either a fluke or it was robbed from him. But however, Kaguchika Okada, Konosuke Takeshita and Brian Cage have to deal with a former member of the Don Callis family, Powerhouse Hobbs, and of course Mark Davis. But I thought this match was pretty good. Now remember, Hobbs has his sights set on Takeshita, but of course Takeshita had his dealings with Davis, but Takeshita took out Davis with the raging of fire, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Now, Renee Paquette applied an interview with Willow Nightingale talking about her upcoming event at Wrestle Dynasty and all that. And of course, she's very happy. However, she did run into Chris Statlander and she just told her good luck. Now, remember, these two ladies have not been in good terms about a few months ago, but we will see what happens from here on out. Now, Renee doesn't. Now, we did see, of course, Action Andretti and Leo Rush taking on two enhancements, a Goldie and Miles Hawkins. So of course, you would think this match was going to fall into Andretti and Leo Rush. It did. Leo Rush pinned Hawkins, and just like that, it was over. However, private parties show up, tried to get into face and face against, of course, their challengers, but all of a sudden, Top Flight appeared, but apparently, while they were turned around, had their backs turned, Andretti and Rush showed up. But of course, Top Flight did not appreciate what happened. So we're going to see a full blown war between both these teams after that. But however, of course, Rush and Andretti, their sights set on the tag belts. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, we did see, of course, another interview with Renee with Harley Cameron talking about her upcoming match against Willow Nightingale. But however, she apparently made new friends, and that friend is Penelope Ford. So that kind of sets it up. So let's jump into that match. Now, Willow Nightingale, as you know, is building up momentum, and that's exactly what she's been doing. But of course, she was able to pull off the Doctor Bomb on Harley Cameron. And then during the post-match penalty before she attacked her until Chris Statlander showed up out of nowhere. It's kind of interesting that now that Chris Statlander showed up, it's interesting to see that dynamic. So we will see what happens down the road. Now our main event is the Gold League of the Continental Classic, Brody King versus Commander. Of course, Commander has to rely more on his speed to deal with a guy like Brody King. So he had many momentum as possible, but it was still not enough until Brody King took him out, gaining his next 3 points with a total of 6, still leaving Commander at the bottom of the barrel. So that kind of sets it up right there for all of us. So for now, That's how things end with AEW Rampage. Let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we had the leader of Gallus, Joe Coffey, taking on Keanu Reeves. Yep. So so anyway, as you know, Joe Coffey is out to send a direct message to the newbies because they felt that newbies like them are the reason their opportunities are get taken. That's always been his primary mission. However, Reeves has always been able to be stand out on his own. But unfortunately, that match did not go exactly his way because Joe Coffey took him out with the Bells Fest, and just like that, it was over. So, of course, Joe Coffey walked away supreme, but we will see what happens down the road. Now, Lainey Reed, as you know, has to deal with Kendall Gray, trying to prove her superiority. Last time we've been seeing Lainey Reed has been using ways to cheat her way out. That's exactly what happens. But of course, before her match against Lainey Reed, Kendall is sick and tired of hearing what a great wrestler she is. No, she's not. So basically, Kendall Gray tries to deal with it. However, that's exactly what happened in their match. I have to say, Kendall Gray stood out on her own, but however, certain moments you can tell she tried to cheat her way out, but it wouldn't work out. But unfortunately, the knee strike was the one thing that was capable of for Laney Reed to walk out as the winner. But however, Reed was not done with Gray. Luckily, Kendall Gray's closest friend, Carly Bright showed up to give a helping hand and to deal with it. Then, of course, Callie Armstrong showed up too. And then, of course, Wendy Chu. And then finally, Layla Diggs. So basically, it was a 6-on-6 scenario. So we don't know where that leads us, but it's going to be a lot of fun. But however, before the program actually ended, we did see a message from Dante Chen saying that next week he wants to put out an open challenge in a gauntlet match. So you ask yourselves, is this wise from Dante Chen? Well, he seems like he's willing to see his limitations. Let's see how good he has become. So we'll see who'll step up. So until then, we just have to wait and see. But as of right now, we are done with all reviews, so let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so this news update is going to be a bit more shorter. Now, for upcoming events, we only have GCW. As you know, we have the New Year's Eve event at Ridgeway Park at the Mecca for Till Infinity on the 31st of December. We have Megan Bain takes on the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch. So that's going to be a brutal match. I don't know if Megan Bain's ever been in this type of match. Well, I know John Wayne Murdoch's going to pull all the stops, so we'll see what happens. Now, as you all know, recently with WWE, they've been putting this thing called the WWE ID. Fightful Select reports that British promotion Progress Wrestling has been having the possibility of becoming a WWE ID promotion. Now, remember, there has been a somewhat of a relationship between both WWE and Progress. However, WWE dropped them and all this. It seems like Progress wants to have a relationship with them. So we will see what happens. I mean, will WWE accept it? Because we know they have built relationships with Noah and Marigold, and they definitely need a relationship with a British promotion. I mean, we know that in the UK there isn't any major promotions, just independents. So we'll see how that goes. Now, as you know, it's been a while since Bray Wyatt passed away. Apparently, they put him in a Legends contract, so post-mortem, yes. It's interesting to hear that. However, WWE did make it clear that all the proceeds of Bray Wyatt will go straight to his family. I have to say that's a good decision for them because, of course, there's been a long-standing relationship between, of course, the Bray Wyatt's family and WWE. So I think that'll be okay for now. Now, many of you may hear this. As you know, we've been seeing Braun Breaker being successful. But however, it turns out that his cousin, Scott Steiner's son, Brock, wants to join the family business, and ESPN actually had a little chat with him, and this is what they were saying. This is what Scott Steiner actually said, that it was confirmed. Yeah, that's the plan. That's what he wants to do, whatever makes him happy. Now, what does his cousin, Braun Breaker, have to say? Well, this is what he said. It's in the family blood, family business. I think he's going to take it very well. I'm excited for him. So it's interesting, as you know, we have seen both Scott and Rick Steiner. They have been one of my absolute favorites, and now their kids are going to join. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something similar. But what's interesting, both of these Braun played football, so did of course Brock. So that's going to be interesting to see. So I'm kind of excited for him. Now, as you all know, recently I actually posted out a news update alerting you guys with the passing of Rey Mysterio Sr. I'm talking about Rey Mysterio's uncle, the man that made him the wrestler that he is today. And as you know, it was a sad day for Rey Mysterio, losing the one man that inspired him to become a pro wrestler and trained him. And of course, we know what happened to his dad not too long ago, and now his uncle. But Rey Mysterio's daughter, Aaliyah, had this to say: "Internally grateful for you, Uncle. Without you, my dad wouldn't be the person or fighter he is today. Rest in peace, Uncle." So that's a very nice thing for Aaliyah to say, knowing that she's proud that, of course, Rey Mysterio's uncle made him who he is, and I think we should be grateful for that too. So that's pretty sick. Now, many of you may have heard, I remember, I put out a report about there's been high interest in AEW of signing Matt Cardona. But the real question is, what that Matt Cardona thinks of this. He was on the takedown on Sports Illustrated, and this is what he said. "Listen, I cannot think about the future. I need to think one show at a time. I can't be looking ahead, and I need to focus day by day. That with the independence, that's what's made me so successful. I'm treating each opportunity like the biggest deal. I'll go all in on every single thing that I do. I take one match at a time, one day at a time." So I probably know he's been working hard to reinvent himself, and I have to say it has worked for him, because I know many people will always associate himself as Zack Ryder, and no one gave him a lot of credit for what he can do. However, now that he's himself, he feels like he can't just look ahead just yet. I mean, he's still taking things day by day, step by step, that sort of thing, and I respect that out of him. So I'm sure when that opportunity arises of him maybe becoming part of the AEW roster or whatever, we'll find out down the line. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure many of us are expecting what's his next move. Because I do remember, if you guys remember last time, Matt Cardona did stated he will love to return to WWE under the condition he will not be using the Zack Ryder moniker. But however, there are those that believe that they don't want him to lose that. But we'll just wait and see. The ball is on WWE's court on that part. That's their call. If they allow him to come back as Matt Cardona, that's cool. If not, well, it's their loss. So we'll see what happens. So for right now, I think we are done with everything. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. Well, as you know, we have AEW Collision, so that's a priority. But as we speak, we do have another Stardom event featuring more with the International Women's Cup and some prelim matches. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to watch that. We'll just wait and see. And of course, we do have some other events that I may have missed out, but that's for another time. But for now, the focus is on AEW Collision, and then we'll go from there. But for now, let's see how things will progress. But as right now, I will say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Save DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.